Thanks, Lori. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce one of our valued team members, Matt Newman. He was born and raised here in Wayne County. He's been working as an educator since 2006 and a registered dietitian since 2016. This is Matt's second year working at Aultman Orrville Hospital, where he's involved in clinical patient care, outpatient nutrition counseling, and community programming. He also holds weekly clinic hours at Aultman Orrville Sports and Wellness with a special focus on weight management. And I can attest that Matt is passionate about helping clients work towards achieving their goals. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Matt. Thanks, Matt, for all you do.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Lori. And everybody, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. So let me get my screen shared. We'll get all the technology lined up here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. I think we're ready. So let's dig in. Today's topic is sugar management. This is what we're going to spend our time looking at. So what's our roadmap for today? So these are some key areas that we want to hit. So history, how have we as humans managed sugar over the past 10,000 years? The culinary side of things, why is it important for cooks and bakers to manage sugar? The health impact, why is it important for us as individuals to manage sugar? And we'll also do a crash course with nutrition labels. So we'll see that too. Now off to the side, if I can use my, so off to the side here, you can see a couple of representations of a sugar molecule, okay? This could be a complicated topic that we're gonna go over. My goal today is to leave you with practical, easy to use advice. Okay, so that's where we're headed. All right, if we were meeting in person, this would be the point in the presentation where I would poll the crowd, I would turn to you guys and say, who can identify what this is? And we probably have a smart group on today. So typically I get a couple people that think bamboo, sticks of bamboo. I might get one person who raises their hand and says, sugar cane, and they would be exactly right. What you guys are looking at here is what sugar cane looks like before we process it and things like that. So just imagine taking a big old bite out of that. So keep that image in your mind here, okay? All right, so the next part will be a brief history for sugar and emphasis on brief. I don't want to go into a history lesson here, but let's look at how we got to where we are with sugar. 10,000 years ago, people were domesticating. They were farming sugarcane in New Guinea, these islands in the Pacific. They would chew it raw. So imagine that stick that you saw on the last slide. They would probably cut a very small slice off of that and chew it. And that's how they would get the sugar out of it. Okay. 1700 years ago in India, we figured out how to turn sugar into crystals. That was a big development because it allowed us to trade it, transport it, store it. Think about how much easier it was to deal with the sugar when it was in that form. Okay. 550 years ago in Europe, the large-scale refinement, I mean, we're talking major operation here. So this is when sugar production really ramped up the economical side of this. And 275 years ago, we started to explore other sources of sugar. Historically it was sugar cane, but now they found that beets, sugar beets, this is another source for the sugar that we can eat. All right, high fructose corn syrup. 63 years ago, it was developed by scientists. It wasn't very popular at the time, but what happened is a couple decades later, you can see that the sugar import taxes went up in this country. That meant that we couldn't bring in cheap sugar from other countries, so we had to look within our own borders and see what our options were, and that was really the driver to where we saw high fructose corn syrup become as ever present as it was in our food supply. Okay. I promised it would be a brief history lesson, so there we go. Okay, so now we're talking about the culinary uses. Now sugar absolutely has some important properties for cooks and bakers, and we'll run through some of them here so you can see them. The first one, it's on the screen for you, it acts as a preservative. Okay? It's very important for inhibiting microorganisms, the kind of microorganisms that you don't want in your food. Number two, keeps baked goods soft and moist. Sugar and water, they lock together, and that locks the moisture into the product. Okay, that's important. Sugar is able to help batters rise during baking. So I'll try to describe this briefly. Sugar crystals, if you could see what they look like under a microscope, they have very sharp edges, sharp corners. When you stir a batter, those sharp edges or sharp corners create air pockets in the product. And then when you bake it, the air that's in there will expand and it helps with the rising of the product. Okay. Sugar obviously enhances flavor. I don't think anybody would argue with that. It will boost flavors that are already there and decrease bitterness. We could use coffee as an example. Anybody who drinks coffee and they take sugar in their coffee can attest to this. Sugar definitely takes away the bitterness of the coffee. Yeah, it changes the visual presentation of the food. It will deepen the color. Caramelization is the industry term for when a food becomes darker under heat, and sugar is part of that important process. It also adds a crunch. Think about the surface of the product that you're baking. It's got the sugar and the water, but then as you bake it, the water is going to disappear. You're left with the sugar across the top. That makes me think of muffins as maybe an example of that. And it gives you that nice sweet crust on the top of the product. Okay, switching gears from the culinary side of things, let's look at the health impact of sugar. There's a lot of research into different areas of our health that sugar has an impact. Some of these are more common sense than anything else, like the connection between sugar intake and tooth decay. I've got it down here at the bottom of the table. Our dentists have been telling us that for years, so you are not surprised to see that on the list. I'll just pull a couple of these that are interesting and speak to them today. So the very first spot on this table, it talks about, your blood sugar rising and falling, and it's plummeting, it's coming down, it's a crash, it's a blood sugar crash. Inside your body, that's the same chemical response as fight or flight. So somebody who's had a blood sugar crash, they could have unexplained anxiousness, irritability, shakiness. So it's that same process in the body. Okay. Sugar does accelerate aging. You can see that. I'll highlight it right here in the table. Sugar is able to chemically bond with proteins in your skin, and then your skin loses some of its elasticity. Okay, so that's where that aging comes from. Let me speak to the cognition in children. So that would be on the right side of the table here. So this was an interesting case study. The New York City School District decided to reduce the amount of sugar that's in their breakfast and in their lunches from one year to the next. When they did that, they found that academic ranking rose more than 15% across the district. So that's pretty interesting. Also, this taking the place of important nutrients. Again, you may think of children because children typically may be eating more sugar, and they might be the people who are in most need of these important nutrients. So that's something to keep in mind there. Okay. So we can't discuss sugar management without spending some time on fiber. Fiber is Mother Nature's built-in antidote for sugar. Think back to the picture of the sugar cane. Plenty of fiber, right? So we're going to identify some key areas where fiber helps us as far as our health. And the very first one here, you've got fiber makes you feel full faster. So real quickly, I'll describe soluble fiber and insoluble fiber in some everyday terms so we can understand what that means. So soluble fiber, I want you to think of it as oatmeal. If you had oatmeal in a bowl and you let it sit for 2 hours, you totally forgot about it, and then you came back, what would that oatmeal be like? You would put your spoon in it, and it could probably hardly get any to come out. It would form a gel, okay? That's what soluble fiber does in your stomach, and it helps you feel full faster. Now, the second type of fiber, that's the insoluble fiber down here. I want you to think of celery strings. Your body doesn't digest celery strings. They'll pass right through your digestive tract, okay? And things like that are important for helping food move through your intestine faster. Both of these are key. They're very critical for helping you feel full faster from fiber. Fiber is able to lower your blood cholesterol. So we're going to talk about bile acids. Bile acids are something your body uses to digest. That's all that it is. It's just a building block for digesting food. Fiber is able to draw your bile acids out of your body, and then your body has to make more. What does it make those bile acids out of? It makes it out of the cholesterol that's in your body, okay? So increasing your fiber is a way to help control your blood cholesterol because your body has to use it up. Number 3, fiber delivers more nutrients farther down your intestine. This is really important for those good gut bacteria that are in your digestive tract. Fiber will help feed them properly so that they can do what they need to do for you. Okay, so we're not comparing apples to oranges. We're comparing oranges to orange juice here. And this is to help illustrate what we just talked about with fiber. Now, this is the difference between a fresh orange, if we had just peeled a fresh orange, and then we had some orange juice, 2 alternatives. The calories, if we had the portions the same, the calories would be about the same. The vitamins would be about the same. You see the carbs aren't real different. Sugars in line. It's that last line. It's the very last line on here. It's the dietary fiber that is so different from a fresh orange to an orange juice, okay? Fresh orange has 12 times more fiber than orange juice does. So what that means is that the fresh orange is 12 times better able to help us feel full faster, 12 times better able to move things through our digestive tract quicker to feed those bacteria, and it has all those benefits for us, okay? All right. So switching to exercise. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, they put out this recommendation for us that adults should get 150 minutes of at least moderate intensity aerobic exercise per week. So as we go through this exercise piece here, we'll see what that might actually look like for somebody, in a typical week. We'll explore that a little bit. So just like fiber was important for sugar management, the exercise is critical too. Number 1, exercise allows more efficient release of energy from the food we eat. Now there's a word here we have not talked about yet. See if I can get my pointer to behave itself. So mitochondria. That is a power plant inside the cells of your body. That is where energy comes from, okay? It's super important for this whole energy cycle that we're talking about. Exercise helps you clear out all the old power plants and leave room for the new ones to come in and be a lot more efficient, okay? So that's one of the roles that exercise plays for us. Exercise definitely helps reduce stress. A lot of people in the audience may be able to attest to this, and they've found that cortisol, which some people look at as a stress hormone in the body, the exercise is able to control these levels of cortisol better. Okay, and endorphins, that's the other part of this. Some people may have heard of those from something like a runner's high. Okay, people that once you break through the wall on your run and you're feeling good and you almost feel like you could go forever. So endorphins play a role with reducing the stress as well. Improving organ function. So the example we're using here is the liver, okay? But exercise definitely plays a role in our organs, doing the jobs that they're supposed to do in our body, and doing them well, doing them the way that we need them to. Yeah, your digestive tract. You'll probably be tired of me talking about your digestive tract by the end of this, but exercise for sure promotes bowel regularity, moving things through the way that it's supposed to. Okay, So I told you that guideline from the Department of Health and Human Services, 150 minutes every week. Well, what does that actually mean in everyday terms? This table breaks it down for you in a way that is a little bit easier to understand. 30-minute walk, 5 days a week, that would satisfy, the recommendation they put out there. And there's nothing wrong with breaking it up across the day. Don't feel like if you can't get a 30-minute walk in, it's not worth it, because that's not true. You could do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes after lunch, and 10 minutes in the evening, and you'll still get that benefit. Okay? And they do throw in the recommendation of strength training at least 2 times per week. So there is that. Okay, so we're switching gears. We're gonna take a look at some nutrition labels and just get some real quick tips about how to what to read off of there, how to evaluate them, and this can help you at the grocery store. This can help you in the pantry at home. So hopefully these are real actionable items that we'll talk about here. Now, if somebody was looking to make the maximum impact as far as healthful choices, and if we needed to break it down to bullet points, then this slide might be it. This might be some of the most helpful ways that somebody could use a nutrition label and make some decisions. So when it comes to beverages, 5 calories or less, but you always get an exception for milk, okay? Because milk has so many things in it that we need: vitamins, minerals, protein, fat, carbohydrates. It's a little bit of everything. But if you can keep your beverages to 5 calories or less, that does have benefits. The bottom of the slide talks about processed foods. So these would be things you buy in a box, might be cereals, crackers, pasta, anything that's coming in a box that you're purchasing. Here are some things to keep in mind. The first one, it should have at least 3 grams of fiber per serving. 2's okay. But if it's 3 grams of fiber per serving, you're getting all those benefits from the fiber, like we went over earlier in the presentation. Your second bullet says avoid the term partially hydrogenated. That is a code word in the ingredients for something called trans fat. And trans fat is something that I can tell you today, it's something to be avoided, and it is something that's very stressful, especially on your cardiovascular system. So you can have a lot of health impact if you can avoid the term partially hydrogenated and be looking for trans fat. That's something to avoid. And also, at the very bottom of a label, they have to list all the ingredients of what's inside the food. If you're able to keep sugar out of the first 3 ingredients on the bottom of that label, then that's another way to keep sugar controlled in the products that you're buying. Okay, so let's look at some actual labels and practice this just a little bit and look at the difference between some products that you might be surprised by. So here, for starters, we are comparing the same brand. This is Sara Lee bread. We're comparing their whole wheat product to their white bread product. This should remind you a lot of the oranges that we looked at when we compared oranges to orange juice, because there's not a drastic difference between these products except for the fiber piece. Okay, you guys can see that at the bottom of these labels, 2 grams of dietary fiber per slice of bread versus 0. Okay, so the difference between wheat bread and white bread, it's not that the calories or anything is different, it's the fiber that's missing in the white bread. Okay, comparing cookies. So looking at the label of 2 commercial cookies that are out there. And again, in this case, that this is an instance of, we can look at 2 different cookie products and you can find one that has a little bit more fiber than the other. And we've talked today about how that might be a little bit more healthful choice. Yeah, now I have to laugh when I put this slide up because the last time I gave this presentation, it was here at the hospital, and the owner of Dairy Queen was in the audience. So afterwards, I had to apologize, and I said, "I'm sorry. I'm not trying to pick on Dairy Queen by putting this product up here. If you work for anybody in the soda industry, I apologize. I'm not trying to paint anybody to be the bad guy here. The reason I included Dairy Queen on this slide is because a lot of people, you get a small vanilla cone from Dairy Queen, and you think, I got the small, so that's got to be pretty controlled, all things considered. So what we're showing here between these two labels, you look at the Dairy Queen small vanilla cone, and it has almost 30 grams of sugar. That's a fair amount of sugar. This Yasso vanilla yogurt bar, this is something you can get in the grocery store, and it happens to be another frozen treat, but it's something that has a lot less sugar per serving. So it might still satisfy that craving for you, but it would be less sugar. And I apologize to Dairy Queen for putting this up. Okay, so now looking at beverages in a little bit more detail. What I've got here is a list. This is an entire list of beverages, and we've just kind of set them all to 20 ounces. So 20 ounce of juice, 20 ounce of Gatorade, so that we can compare the amount of sugar that you find in these products. And hopefully you can see this on the slide. These are little sugar cubes. So every sugar cube that's next to a product, that's another teaspoon of sugar that you would find in that 20 ounce portion here. So obviously, at the first four here, orange juice, Gatorade, Snapple, Coca-Cola, even Red Bull, if it was a 20 ounce portion, imagine seeing all those sugar cubes, stacked up on the table. It might catch your attention, to see that. And then towards the bottom of this slide here, water, obviously there's no sugar in that, but then here's some alternative beverages that some of them have some sugar to them, but it's nothing like the products that we see at the top. Okay, now there's two colored lines that I've added here. You can see that this is a red line right here, and this is a blue line right here. So the American Heart Association, they put out their recommendation for how much sugar somebody should be eating in a day. And the red line, the red line corresponds to the amount of sugar that they say a woman should eat in a day. Now, look at that amount of sugar compared to the amount of, let's pick one of these at random. So the Snapple, a 20 ounce Snapple, compare that to the amount of sugar a woman is recommended to eat in a day. That's a lot different. That's kind of surprising maybe for a lot of people. The blue line, that's the recommendation for men in a day. So it's 6 teaspoons for women per day, nine teaspoons for men per day. Okay, oh my gosh, we went over so much stuff. So what's the takeaway message? So the bottom line here with all this sugar management information, reduce the amount of sugar, less sugar, more fiber. Fiber will absolutely be helpful, and more exercise. Exercise will also be an important piece of the puzzle there. All right, there's a bunch of references here at the end of the presentation, and normally I would take questions. What I can do is I can make these slides available to Lori, and my contact information will be here. If anybody wants more information about anything that was presented today, I would be glad to help you out. Just send me an email or give me a call. All right. And to wrap things up today, please bear with me. I have an advertisement from the Growing Healthy Habits Coalition for you guys. So I'm proud to serve on the as a member for the Growing Healthy Habits Coalition. They work within the greater Orrville community to improve decisions about fitness, nutrition, and healthy lifestyle. We'd like to invite you to a winter walk event on Saturday, December 12th. It will be open from 8 until noon, as you can see on the slide. The event will start and end at the Heartland trailhead on the corner of West Market and Depot Street. Maps will be provided for the 2-mile walk. Expect fun photo challenges, beautiful nature and holiday scenery, maybe even a couple treats along the way. You can also come and learn more about the 2021 Lose-A-Ton, Win-A-Ton Get Fit competition, where the winning team wins $2,000 cash prize. We live in the world of COVID, so health and safety remain top priority. Social distancing and small groups will be recommended. And we live in Ohio, so weather may be a factor. Please visit the Growing Healthy Habits Facebook page if Mother Nature throws us a curveball, and we hope to see you there.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everybody know that in the comment box on the webinar today, if you look at the bottom little toolbar there, I did put a link to the Lose a Ton, Win a Ton registration form. The deadline for that, registering for that challenge is December 18th. It doesn't begin until January, but get your teams together for that. Be glad to have everybody participate. And you know, we'll keep our fingers crossed. The weather looks a little dicey for Saturday, but you know, get outside and enjoy that winter walk. Growing Healthy Habits just wants to keep everybody moving, doing what you can to stay active while also staying safe and distant. So thank you again for joining us today, and have a wonderful holiday season. Stay safe, keep your employees safe, and we will see you again in January. Have a great day.